This podcast is created for those seeking a more fulfilling spiritual life. Teachings and lectures can often feel lengthy or complex, so these conversational episodes aim to present timeless wisdom in a relatable and accessible way, making it easier to connect and grow. Thank you, and happy soul searching.
Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. This time we're going straight to the source, Gurudev Sri Ravi Shankar, to unpack his wisdom on living a more balanced, fulfilling life.
Oh, excellent choice.
Yeah, we've got a few transcripts from some of his talks, and even a really interesting article on meditation and positivity.
Awesome.
It seems like there's so much practical advice here, especially for anyone looking to, navigate the ups and downs that life throws at us.
Absolutely. One of the things that always strikes me about Gurudev is how he takes these really ancient teachings and makes them so relatable.
Right. Like, I love that analogy he uses about finding balance in life, comparing it to riding a motorbike.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
It just instantly clicks. Everyone's felt that wobble when they're trying to stay upright.
Yeah.
But what's he really getting at there? What's the deeper meaning?
Well, he's saying that balance isn't some fixed state you achieve and then you're done. It's a constant process. Like riding that motorbike, you're always making these tiny adjustments, these course corrections as you go. And what's fascinating is, he says our own consciousness is actually guiding us towards balance.
So it's like our internal GPS is always recalibrating, trying to keep us on the right path.
Exactly. He uses this word pricking. Like, let's say you're pushing yourself too hard at work, really neglecting your family. Your consciousness is going to start pricking you, reminding you, hey, you're missing out on something important here.
Yeah. Okay, I could see that.
And same goes for if you're overly focused on family but neglecting your own personal growth, that feeling of being pulled in too many directions. I think a lot of us can relate to that.
For sure. But then he also talks about guilt, right? And how a little bit of it can actually be a good thing.
Yeah, it's not about feeling guilty all the time, of course, but he makes this interesting comparison to a fuse in an electrical system. A little bit of guilt acts as a protector. It keeps us from going too extreme.
Oh, I see. That's a good way to put it.
So if you're working too much, a little guilt might remind you to spend time with your loved ones. And if you're indulging a little too much, maybe a little guilt nudges you back towards, some discipline.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like a built-in check and balance to make sure we're not totally neglecting any part of ourselves.
Exactly. And he also uses a really great analogy with salt, how too much of it can ruin a dish. Even good things in excess can throw us off.
Right. It's about finding that sweet spot, the right amount of everything.
And that's where this idea of embracing discomfort comes in, which I always find super intriguing. He actually encourages us to seek it out.
Yeah, that always catches my attention too. Why would we willingly choose discomfort?
Because he's talking about stepping outside those comfort zones, pushing our own boundaries. Think about any time you've learned a new skill.
Oh, yeah. Remember that initial awkwardness, that fear of failing? But once you overcome it, there's this incredible sense of accomplishment.
Learning to ride a bike, giving a presentation, even just starting a conversation with someone new. It's always uncomfortable at first, but you come out the other side feeling stronger.
Exactly. So Gurudev is saying, apply that same logic to all areas of your life. Don't shy away from discomfort. See it as a chance to grow. Although, I do wonder, does that apply to all types of discomfort? Like, what about situations that are truly harmful, not just challenging? What are your thoughts?
That's a really good point. I think it's something for all of us to consider. When does discomfort become a signal to make a change versus just part of the process of getting better? Speaking of tools for managing this tougher feelings, I want to talk about meditation, something Gurudev discusses in the article. Meditation cultivates positivity in our life. He has this observation about how we tend to hold on to those unpleasant emotions, but let the pleasant ones just slip away. That's so true, isn't it? Our brains are almost wired to focus on the negative. But he says that meditation helps us break free from that pattern. We become more present, more accepting of whatever is happening in the moment.
And he uses this beautiful image of meditation as a seed. You cultivate it and it flourishes, filling your body with prana,
Yeah.
which I think is like this life force energy.
Yeah, it really speaks to the transformative power of meditation. It's not just emptying your mind, it's nurturing this way of being that allows positivity to blossom. So, practically speaking, how could meditation help you, the listener, manage your own negative thoughts?
That's a great question. And it reminds me of another piece of advice from Gurudev. He says, learn to laugh at your own thoughts,
Oh, that's a good one.
which at first sounds a little odd.
Yeah, but it connects to what we're talking about right
Yeah.
now. Don't fight the negativity, detach from it. If you
Yeah.
can laugh at your own mind, you gain a new perspective. You realize you are not your thoughts. You're the awareness that's observing them. It's such a liberating feeling. It takes away so much of the power those negative thoughts have over us.
It really does. And speaking of shifting perspectives, I want to bring up what Gurudev says about God in the video. This will change your perspective on God.
Yeah.
He describes the universe as this pure energy, and God is that energy in its most intensified form.
Yeah, and that's where it gets really interesting because he's linking ancient wisdom with modern science. Concepts like black matter and black energy. The idea that everything in the universe, including ourselves, is made up of energy. And God, instead of being this separate being, is the source of it all.
Okay, so if God is this all-encompassing energy, where does the concept of, say, Satan or evil fit in?
Well, Gurudev moves beyond this duality of good versus evil. He even talks about demons merging with this divine energy.
So he's saying even those things we perceive as negative are ultimately part of something bigger.
Exactly. It's not about denying darkness or suffering. It's understanding they're not separate from the divine.
And this concept of energy, interconnectedness, it leads right into his thoughts on love and spirituality. He really emphasizes how closely linked those two are.
And what's fascinating is how he contrasts the lightness of love with the heaviness of all that negativity. He says love makes the mind supple, while anger and hatred make it rigid.
Yeah, it's like love opens us up, lets us flow, while negativity just constricts us.
Precisely. And this connects to his perspective on loneliness. He sees it as a lack of feeling loved, a lack of connection. And when we feel love, we feel connected not just to the person we love, but to everything around us.
It's like love dissolves those boundaries between us and the world, creating this feeling of belonging.
Exactly. And it's this feeling of interconnectedness that brings us to Gurudev's closing thought in that God video, where he says, the more we know, what we know is we don't know. Such a simple statement, but so profound.
It really highlights how vast existence is and the mystery at the heart of it all. It's an invitation to keep exploring, keep learning, never stop questioning.
It reminds us that the journey of knowledge never really ends. There's always more to discover, more to experience, more to understand, and that's what makes life so exciting.
Yeah, it's like we're almost encouraged to, have all the answers in today's world.
Oh, totally. With information overload everywhere, it's easy to feel like, well, we should have it all figured out.
Right. But he's saying there's beauty in the mystery, in that discovery process.
Keeps us curious, keeps us engaged with life. And you know what else keeps us engaged?
What's that?
Gurudev's thoughts on raising kids, raising them to be happy and resilient. He talks about it in the video, how to live a happy life.
Yeah, I remember that. He really emphasized play and connection, not being too serious with them.
Exactly. Enjoying their company, telling stories, playing games, creating that sense of joy and wonder that honestly comes so naturally to kids.
He even tells a story about his own dad coming home from work and making everyone laugh before dinner.
Oh, nice.
Like a ritual to shift the energy. I love that. It reminds me how important those little rituals and traditions are, those moments of connection and shared joy. But he also cautions against relying too much on screens.
Right. He suggests limiting screen time for kids to an hour a day, which, let's be honest, is something we could all benefit from, not just parents.
100%. It's so easy to get sucked into the digital world, and we miss out on the simple pleasures of just being present.
He talked about how excessive screen time can lead to attention problems, how all those images flashing by prevent the brain from truly registering anything.
It's like we overload our senses and kind of numb ourselves to real-life experiences.
And instead, he's advocating for, human touch, quality time with your kids, really engaging with them on a deeper level.
Face-to-face interaction, the shared laughter, the storytelling, the connection, those human bonds you just can't get through a screen.
It makes you think about how important those things are for adults too. We live in this increasingly digital world. We have to be intentional about creating real-life connections.
Absolutely. Putting down our phones, stepping away from the screens, and actually engaging with the world around us and the people in it.
Rediscovering the joy of simply being present with each other, sharing stories and experiences.
This all kind of ties back to Gurudev's point about how the more we know, the more we realize we don't know. He says it in, this will change your perspective on God.
Yeah, it's humbling, isn't it?
Really is. It reminds us that knowledge is this ongoing journey, not a destination.
An invitation to stay curious, open to new perspectives, embrace the mystery of it all.
To cultivate that sense of awe and wonder and recognize there's always more to discover, to learn, to experience. Welcome back, everyone. We're wrapping up our deep dive into the wisdom of Gurudev Sri Ravi Shankar. It's pretty amazing how these teachings feel so relevant today, even though they're rooted in, really ancient traditions.
It really is. They offer this incredibly practical guidance for, navigating all the challenges of modern life. And one of the key takeaways, at least for me, is this emphasis on balance.
Yeah, balance in our personal lives, at work, even our relationship with the world around us.
Finding that sweet spot, that place where we can really thrive.
And it's not some fixed destination, right? It's a constant process, always adjusting, recalibrating.
Exactly. It's that motorbike analogy again, always making those tiny corrections to stay upright.
Right. And Gurudev says our consciousness is the guide that helps us make those corrections.
Absolutely. It's not just about external balance, though.
Oh, yeah.
It's also about that internal equilibrium, between our thoughts, our emotions, our actions.
Right. And this is where things like meditation come in.
Exactly. Gurudev talks about, cultivating positivity, letting go of negativity, embracing those moments of discomfort that can actually lead to growth.
It reminds us that we are not our thoughts, but that awareness that observes them.
Exactly. Through practices like meditation, we can learn to detach from those negative patterns and cultivate a more, positive, joyful way of being.
It's about finding that inner peace, that resilience to handle whatever life throws at us.
For sure.
And I think ultimately it's about recognizing our interconnectedness, that we're not separate from everything around us. Gurudev places so much importance on love, on compassion, on understanding.
Absolutely. Breaking down those barriers and really embracing that oneness.
It all comes back to that powerful reminder he gives us. The more we know, what we know is we don't know.
Such a great quote.
It keeps us humble, curious, always exploring.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Gurudev's teachings, I'd love for you, the listener, to think about this. How can you apply these insights to your own life today?
Yeah, how can you create more balance, more positivity, a deeper sense of connection in your own unique journey?
It's definitely something to ponder, and I hope this has inspired you to, keep exploring these teachings.
Me too. There's so much wisdom to uncover, so many ways to grow and learn and evolve. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep seeking, keep discovering, and keep embracing all the beauty of the unknown.